Okay, briefly, I don't have a lot of time. One thing, by the way, that's good about walking is when your knees hurt, right, you just blame it on the walking. Okay. It has to do with exposure to ionizing radiation, and in the winter, you think it's worse in the winter until the summer of 2022 when it happens again. You can try to look it up, but usually they hide that information. It affects your joints. Okay, so anyways, I was going over briefly two things about patrols around Smith Center in Harvard Square, where I stated that Brian told me that he was being picked up by strangers. Okay. When I spoke with him, I asked him if it was easier to manipulate males to get males to do what he wants. And I think he said something like, you know how people are with me, or something like that. So if he wants to know in terms of his psychology, um, I feel that he maybe thinks that that's what it is, when it's actually not, in my opinion. Being homeless myself. Okay. It's that other people tell those people to get away from them, not they don't try to pick up other people. Okay, the other thing about those types of males, they know you're married, they see us walking around. I'm all over the internet, as you know, as you stated. Okay, so they hate women and girls. Okay, so clearly those people are dangerous to me. And if you're taken to someone's place and I'm left outside like that, I can be victimized, as almost happened in Orlando. Okay, so, right, there's a lot of police officers that look younger, but I mean, clearly he doesn't look younger, so you don't have to exactly look younger. Um, and I explained what happened with the male with the metal walker on Wednesday morning, how dangerous he is. Okay. So, usually, um, people that prey upon children, they do actually make them feel that they're special. That's part of the abuse. And that other people are bad, so you won't report the abuse to them. The other thing about giving away the telephone is those people could text me pretending to be Brian and lure me somewhere to be victimized. Okay. So, right, it's the World Wide Web. If you're telling people your first and last name and that you're married, they can see my name, see what I look like, as if they didn't already know that. So, when you're sort of in a denial about reality yourself, Brian, even though you say I talk about you on the internet, I've been on the internet doing this since 2011. I mean, I was on the internet before, but not in this capacity. Okay, so you seem unaware of the number of people that have actually seen me online. Okay. And also how dangerous some of these males are. That, and this was discussed in couples counseling. Okay. Um, right. So on Tuesday night, when I said never again, I knew the next day I needed to go to a hotel because I knew it just something like I'd be in danger, and I still don't feel you slept at the library that night. It lacks sense. Okay. Also, when you have a power of attorney, which I have, that you asked for and you confirmed today you still wanted me to have for you, you shouldn't have DTA Connect on your telephone. So I don't know if something in the future, if I go to the DTA office with the notarized power of attorney as they requested, if they will take that ability away from you. That's why I ask you these questions, because Some people think other people are psycho in doing things to people that they don't want, and then when you want to use drugs, you say opposite things. That's why people set up things ahead of time. So clearly, the hospitals can't help you, even whatever's going on with you, to protect you, stop you from your drug use. They're actually keeping you high, you and others, and refusing to give you housing. Okay, so like myself, in terms of the personal separations, not everyone is you, Brian. Okay? Not everyone can get violent and stuff like that. And I still think, maybe there's a way to deal with that because number one, Tuesday night when you said the EBT card, obviously, okay, um, in my head, I almost said I have power of attorney, but something made me not say it and hand it to you because of your previous behavior, where you threaten to do things to me. You haven't, but you threaten to, and you try to rip things out of my purse. So, uh, had the DTA Connect thing been set up, you could have taken the card, but the second you walked away, I'd go DTA Connect and shut your card off because you're probably having things stolen from you yourself. Okay, so if you have hope of any type of housing, I think it's a good idea for you to not completely just run away and refuse to have communication with me. Okay, especially after what happened at Bournewood Hospital and Mass General. Okay, if you were to become actually incapacitated or they just wouldn't let you use a telephone, they don't notify me. I'm your next of kin. That should seem frightening, even to a drug addict. Okay, and then I explained you're supposed to have an interview with the psychiatrist. Okay, right. When I went to Needham Hospital in 2021 at the train, the second I asked about the psychiatrist, they released me. I was there less than 24 hours because that's the law. Um, and signed releases because his therapist called me, Social Security calls me and speaks to me. They don't ask to talk to him every time and ask him if it's okay. Okay, so um, even though you might be angry about me talking about Bridgewater State Hospital or a jail, um, right. If you feel that there's some way to get you into stabilized housing, it can't be one of these Massachusetts funded things. You already did that they didn't even urinalysis you. And then something happened where you took off. Okay, so that's not going to work. Um, Also, the thing about being able to call an ambulance, that's why I didn't do it Tuesday night. I asked about it at Spalding to the psychiatrist, what do I do? And she said something about a mental health crisis center, urgent care. Okay, still not listening to me when I talk. Still not listening to me when I talk. Did it seem like he would agree to do that Tuesday night? Steve was there. Did it seem like he would agree to do that Tuesday night? Okay. What about at out front of the library in June? Did it seem like he'd agree to do that? He runs off and flips me the middle finger and then goes and he'll say he's not getting high. I mean, come on, really? So I explained, I think I started talking about this in 2023, what I suspected he was doing. And I witnessed it last year where he goes emergency room to emergency room to get Ativan, which apparently is a benzo, which he loves. He'll tell you he doesn't. He's a former meth head. They like benzos. Okay. Um, he told me he's never had a seizure from alcohol withdrawal. I took him to a hotel to detox once last year, and he began pretending like he was really sick and he was going to have a seizure. And I said, did you forget that you told me that you've never had a seizure from alcohol withdrawal? And he immediately stopped the behavior. He does not need Ativan. Okay? He doesn't need a chemical detox, and you did it again. I asked him today. He's being pretty good about answering me. Okay. Who knows? Maybe this thing after this, because he knows he didn't get into another facility. So cornering them may help to get them into some other type of housing. And it also has to do with the whole state's problem with this. Okay, so he knows the number of years he's been doing this, him and his friends. So getting them in a sober moment to give testimony is pretty important. Okay, because when they want drugs, they're just gonna go, no, that's not true. She's lying. She's psycho. She's a Chiquita, like the nurses and stuff, because they want drugs. Okay, so right when someone is sober for 5 months, not even on Adderall or marijuana, and he shows up at your emergency room, why would you give him a detox? Okay, so you're criminally insane. We'll go over it again. You're criminally insane. People that say they want money, that is true. But again, how much money could they possibly have? Just because they're taking money, that taking of money is insane. The action of doing it. Okay, so when you know that people are doing stuff incorrect, it needs to be put a stop to. And I explained how these people are getting sicker and more violent because it's affecting their brain and they're becoming emboldened where they think everybody in the society agrees with them. Some of the statements that Brian was forthcoming with me, right? Like allowing males to spit in a woman's ear, doing nothing, allowing a man to scream at me like on the street and doing nothing. And there's several of them in Cambridge. It's really bad out there. Brian might not know this. There was a man that went out there after Brian took off, I'm pretty sure, and interviewed, or we were camping and started interviewing people in Harvard Square, and you could see how brain gone they were. I don't usually talk to people like that. It's usually homeless people. Okay. And you go, whoa, it's not they're intelligent. If you're going, wow, they're so smart, I don't even know what they're saying. It's because what they're saying is word salad. They're mentally ill, not they're highly intelligent. Just highly intelligent people don't talk in a speech like that where you wouldn't know what they were saying. They don't. I've known many people that are highly intelligent. You learn to dumb down your speech, as they call it. You don't talk like that because children make fun of you. Okay, so trust me. Anorexia, it just for a month, Brian. Okay, with the like I would talk to Jerry. Okay, when you're observed for a month under psychiatric care, totally sober like that, and I'm told by a psychiatrist that you're a drug addict. That's what you are. Not you have depression, not you have trouble focusing, not you have ADHD, not you have PTSD, not you have panic attacks. Some people are familiar with some of those. I have a diagnosis of post traumatic stress disorder from Bournewood Hospital when they used to have a psychiatrist. That's my diagnosis. It's never been changed. I have PTSD and hypertension because I have liver and kidney disease, and I'm under a lot of stress. That's my diagnosis. I don't go into a psychosis. I also spent an entire year in psychotherapy, even though that's limited, but and thank God I did. And I freely speak with psychiatrists where they ask me about the God stuff, in case you didn't know that. Okay. Um, what was the other thing I wanted to mention about accusations? You can go into a psychosis if you have an extreme traumatic thing to happen to you that's temporary. Like the psychosis is temporary. Okay, you can have that happen. You don't have to have bipolar or schizophrenia to have that happen. You can have some extreme trauma. That's what I was going to mention. At the court, I had a competency hearing. Okay, so right. Some things in life, by the way, that any reasonable person would flip out about, right? That's kind of like that. You don't really want to get, the court did not want to get in a thing where people thought they could punch people in the face. That's why they did just let me go. Because we're establishing regular United States of America, which some people still don't get. That is why the court did it with my cases. Okay. They were told, as happened in Nazi Germany, that it was time to go back to regular United States of America, okay, because it's not going to be shut down. Okay, so people that are still not following laws, and I explained to Brian that I found out recently that what Mass General did is illegal. Okay, and you know that they were aware of it because they didn't tell me about it, and they had him sign up another healthcare proxy with my name and then again the wrong phone number. Okay, because that's mental illness if they're still not getting the phone number correct. And that would be a reason to flip out again. Maybe Brian doesn't understand that. I don't know. Okay, where all this flipping out is coming from. Um, it's Massachusetts law because I am your spouse that they're supposed to contact me. Okay, especially at Mass General because you were unconscious. But say you were at Bournewood and you yourself couldn't remember my number, right? Or what if they denied you a phone? I think you told me once a facility. Okay, even if even if he, I'm talking outside of you now, even if he um is doing it because he thinks I can get him out of there, it doesn't matter. You're supposed to be talking to me. Okay. You're supposed to be talking to me. And this is the other thing. They didn't even ask me if I wanted to have him Section 35, which I can do as his spouse. So that should seem highly suspect. Okay. Like you're helping a person just get benzos and then leave and keep using drugs. Okay? A Section 35 is an involuntary section for 30 up to 90 days. Why wouldn't they call me? Okay. So when people come in there and they tell you not to contact their next of kin, you should know that's not legal. That's not Massachusetts law. Okay, you have to sign an affidavit to someone. I'm not sure if it's Canton. You have to sign an affidavit that you're separated to be legally separated in the state of Massachusetts. You don't just run around saying I'm separated. Okay. Also, social media is not real life. You don't hit social media and go, they're not together. We just saw it. How else would you know anything about me, Bournemouth Hospital, or the marriage? So, a lot of problems. A lot of problems. It wasn't even that bad at Spalding. I also, in case Brian doesn't know this, I went over a whole thing about the masturbating at Spalding. What was the circumstances there? Because if you have weirdos working there, then the state needs to know about that. Right. And sometimes when I just personally don't like things, I'm going to call it out. Okay. So, in case Brian didn't know, I'll go over it again, assuming he'll watch any of these. Um, He may have forgot this, by the way. When we were at Spalding, there was one day when you were moved to the big corner room, and you were only still there, by the way, in case you forgot. You were only still there because they told me to book a campground at a certain day. Okay? You were supposed to be released. Mass Health said you were medically cleared to leave. And then they started lying to Mass Health saying you were having tachycardia with your heart so that you could stay there until the campground was ready. Okay. Then they moved you to the big corner room. So before that, I took the classes and I was the person to be assisting you in the shower, not any other person working there. I was there every single day. I also was bringing you clothing. Okay. So there was some conversation about someone can sit on the couch and watch you, or someone had previously done that. They're not supposed to be doing that. That is why I took the class. Okay? Sometimes you don't realize yourself that people are perverted because of your upbringing. You definitely don't. and you're not used to being in an actual relationship. But even if we weren't, it's perverted because that's a person in power authority over you in a workplace, and you're a patient with a brain injury. So, yes, it's pretty gross. Okay, just so you know, nobody was supposed to be doing that. That's what I was doing. And it had been several days that I was the person that assisted him in the shower. Also, the buying him of clothing, which is like a grooming process, buying him clothing when I'm bringing him clothing, like she's taking over as his wife, doing the shower, not supposed to be doing it, and then saying something about she's going to take him out on a boat. Just ask somebody else. All the crazy and paranoid. Ask somebody else. Okay. I also went over about the woman at Gavin that is working there and started screwing a patient, and then she's still working there, and he's coming and visiting her. Okay, that's a way for those people to bring drugs back and forth, by the way. But again, that person, there was someone at the shelter once that started screwing a homeless person. Did that seem like that should go on? Okay, it's not supposed to go on. It's gross. It's gross. She's clearly still using. Okay, she's clearly still using and working at Gavin Foundation, or at least she was. Okay. He might, and I don't care because you're not allowed to just stop a person from using a phone, especially when you don't notify me he's there. Okay, or I call and then you try to tell me you can't tell me that, Gavin Foundation. Okay, so he might call because he knows I'm going to do this, and then you'll kick him out because you know you're going to get in trouble. Too bad. I'm the person that can Section 35 him. You put him there on a substance. That's what you put him there, substance, right? That's me. Okay? Why would you do a 72-hour hold in a voluntary and not call me? I'm the person who does the Section 35. That is what I was told by Quincy Court, and I looked it up again. Okay? I go in there during the 72-hour hold. Naughty calls me and tells me not to visit. I go in during the 72-hour hold. I have a conversation. I assess what's up because I know this person and you don't. Okay. I talk to you, and then between him, me, and you, we decide what we're going to do. And then I go to the court and do it because otherwise it's a court section, as you know. Okay. So I expect much better treatment for sure. And probably tell Brian if this happens again, dude, you try to remember the things I told you. Okay. They have to notify me that you're there. Okay. Are you legally separated in the state of Massachusetts? They have to notify me that you're there. Okay. So, not you call me. You can call me, but I need to speak with them about what's going on. Okay. So, when they realized that patients were being allowed to answer the phone and they were telling their person not to visit and conflicting stories, they should have called me. Even though they knew they did something wrong, they still wouldn't correct it. Even after all of that, they never once called me. Once you know you fucked up, that's how these people are. Once they know they fucked up, they're not. 15 years, I can't get these people to correct what they did to me in Florida. It's awful. That's why I said, Brian Walsh, how long until what you did doesn't matter. So that was the other thing. Sometimes it's better in talking if because people, and Brian's one of them. Oh yeah, it's too many posts. I just couldn't look at it. Okay, look. Do you know who Ron DeSantis is? Do you know who Ron DeSantis is? Okay. He's the governor of the state of Florida. His wife is named Casey DeSantis. She worked at the Golf Channel with Al Gore, my ex-husband. Okay. So one, he outlawed Florida alimony when he became governor because I explained to you what was going on with me, not I lost my children for drinking. And we have the things now where the news is telling you Ron DeSantis something something Al. It doesn't mean AI. It doesn't mean artificial intelligence. I'm explaining it to you. Okay? Why are people doing that? They're in a state of denial. I have a very persistent, loud voice in typing figures. Okay? I was banned on all social media for a reason, as were others. They know about Florida. Okay? They're in a state of denial and won't stop running around. Okay. So Ron DeSantis, Casey DeSantis, the Golf Channel, Florida alimony laws is not can you see anything on someone's hands? Okay? Why are they doing it? Why are they doing it? We need you people to stop working. You're too sick to work. We've explained to you about the closing of the hospitals and the defunding of programs. Now, if the Supreme Court wants to use moral, uh, I'm never going to remember, moral turpitude, okay, they can to take away people's license to work. You need to read the wiki. Just scroll down. You can lose your license to practice medicine, run a detox, dispense medication, act as a police officer. Um, some of this stuff that people keep telling you that Trump cannot do is untrue. Okay, so this insanity where they threaten to starve us again because they wanted some other funding. Okay, we don't care. Okay, we got the SNAP cards and we got the government back open. So, again, are you going to say that Trump can't close your hospital because you're committing criminal acts and you're harming the public? Okay. You are not proving in any way, shape, or form, one, that you're not drug addicts yourself, and every time you do a detox, you're taking some of those benzos for yourself. You're not proving that. You're not proving you're not doing that. Okay? We all saw Nurse Betty. Okay. You're not following Massachusetts law. You're not notifying me when this man is in a hospital, even sectioned. You're not doing it. Even with the brain injury. It was explained to you, Social Security calls me, the man has a power of attorney that's notarized, and I'm his legal spouse and his healthcare proxy. Right. Like I don't have a right to go in there and go, you don't do no, 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 no. No benzos. He's a drug addict. I was just with him for 5 months. Okay. He goes and drinks a day and goes emergency room to you know it. The man has a medical record, you know it. Okay. So, right. I'm sure there's several laws right there. And it speaks to my main point about housing the homeless. Okay? Sticking people in Bournewood Hospital and hiding them there, CSS, TSS, halfway houses, letting them stay in the emergency room. No. The shelters with the classes and the sitting up in chairs and their own insane little business with how no. They're and first of all, they're only housing drug addicts, right? Okay. People should know that by now. I've been homeless for 15 years. Enough is enough. You have the money. People don't even need Social Security. You have the money yourselves and you print money to take it away from that. Okay? Enough with the dominating people with the drugs and supplying your own drug habits. Okay? You can work and get money. You can apply for unemployment. You can apply for Social Security disability. Mary said I'm mentally ill because nobody's that greedy and I shouldn't be giving people benzos when they're that sick. and I didn't notify her, and I broke the law. So I can't work as a nurse practitioner, as a helper, as a social worker anymore. Okay? It can be difficult to accept. You just go, so anyway, again, just a reiteration for some people that don't understand, um, they don't want to hear it either. Okay. Like Ron DeSantis and them, they don't want to hear it either. So God is speaking to everyone. And what happens is it's getting twisted and turned into other things. You go, clearly God told you. Okay. And then still, they'll just keep telling, say, oh no, it's AI, it's AI, it's AI. It's Al. It's Al. Ron DeSantis, Casey DeSantis, the Gulf Channel, Florida alimony laws. You took all my children, you charged me as a witch, and you took my house, and you refused to give me housing and a means to live. It means Al. Okay? The Dedham Nativity, Brian, if you forgot, I grew up in the town of Dedham, and then I was in a house in Dedham from 2011 till August of 2021, and then you saw what Dedham Housing did. Okay. Why would you need a nativity in the town of Dedham? Why? You don't like the Mary with the God stuff. You won't even give her housing. Okay? And I explained to you, you can't get a Jesus. You can't get a Jesus. Just forget the whole thing and then stop telling me it's about immigration. Immigration is immoral turpitude. Okay. It's listed in there. It's not about immigration. CE is the common era, by the way. Okay, it's not about immigration. 2 words. Face masks. Okay? ACE inhibitors. In case you forgot, the madness of the COVID, when you were told that people were getting plasma. Remember that? Because that's the treatment for an allergic reaction to ACE inhibitors, not face masks. See how it sounds like that? ACE inhibitor, face mask. Plasma is a treatment for allergic reaction to ACE inhibitors. I'm pretty sure they said something about potassium, maybe too, because that's very dangerous. People can die from a sudden cardiac arrest because their potassium goes too high. It's my job. I'm like an interpreter.